Texas State hangs on in the First Responder Bowl. It's Locked On Sunbelt.
You are Locked On Sunbelt, your daily podcast on the Sunbelt Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, welcome back to another edition of Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. From big upsets to game-winning drives, the NFL playoffs are better with FanDuel, and new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed, win or lose. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. We will get to the basketball games here in a little bit. South Alabama looks really good. They rolled in Georgia, and JMU upsets Arkansas State, and a couple of funky basketball games, including JMU beating Arkansas State, but Georgia State routes Louisiana. Just didn't see that one coming. We'll get to the football game here momentarily. So two things happened at the same time. That's why we're a couple of days late and a couple of days behind. Computer had to get fixed, and then a snowstorm hit Louisville, and we've been shut down for 2 days. So it took a couple of extra days for the computer to get fixed and for me to go get the computer. So appreciate the Apple Store getting it back to me as soon as they could. And here we are recording it on a Tuesday, having it for you on a Wednesday. So that was what happened here for the last couple of days. All right, so let's get to it. And obviously, Texas State does hang on to defeat North Texas 30-28. And it was quite the ball game, kind of back and forth. North Texas would not go away. And, they had an early kind of back and forth. Texas State jumped out on top. North Texas actually took a 14-6 lead. I also want to commend Jordan McCloud for playing in this ball game, kind of going out on top, right? 300 yards in the game. Almost everybody complains a lot about players opting out. And we need to figure out on how to get the players to opt in, whether it's NIL inducements or whatever the case may be. Obviously, if you're a high draft pick, and you got to take out some ridiculous insurance policy like the kids at Colorado did, just in case something happens, is a little extreme. And so that's going to be the complete exception to the rule. So good for Jordan McCloud to play in a game where, he hasn't been at Texas State for 4 years, right? He transferred in to JMU and then transferred to Texas State. So there's not a whole lot of loyalty is not the right word, but, long-standing, doesn't have a lot of experience at Texas State. And so I just want to commend him for finishing up his year at Texas State, win or lose, right? So good for him. I just wanted to get that out there. And again, it was quite the game, right? 30-28. And again, North Texas State wouldn't go away. They were missing North Texas. Do I keep on calling them North Texas State? I think I combined the two teams. That drew Mestamaker, 26 out of 41, 393 yards. And then he runs for a 70-yard touchdown, which, one of the highlights of the game, because as Tom Hart was saying, he was puking and trying to rally on the sidelines. Thank goodness we didn't see, we just saw him head over the wastebasket, not the actual stuff coming out. So thank goodness we didn't get that view. We certainly did not need to see that. And Jordan McCloud, 26 out of 35, 307 yards, touchdown, and interception. But Lincoln Pare, what a career for Texas State. 21 carries, 143 yards, a couple of touchdowns. Jaden Williams, big ball game, 8 catches, 155 yards, and a touchdown. Bo Sparks had 54 yards in the air with 4 receptions. Lincoln Pare actually caught 4 balls out of the backfield for 32 yards. McCloud actually had a couple of turnovers, had the 1 interception and 1 fumble. And so it's not the Fun Belt for nothing, folks, right? These things are never easy when it comes to Sun Belt football. But I liked that, basically Texas State ran the clock out. I know they did give the ball back. Lincoln Pare ran for 23 yards. So they did go 3 and out after that. So they got 1 first down. And so they kicked the ball back with 40 seconds left. I mean, they got the ball back at 1st and 10. North Texas got the ball back 1st and 10 at their own 8, needing a field goal to win. And so, I mean, you need to go 42 and 20. You need to go 62 yards. I don't think without any timeouts. And they really weren't going downfield, right? You need to throw it 20 or 30 yards. And they really weren't. They're kind of throwing outs and little dump passes, right? What's the point? Even if you do get it intercepted at that point in time, you got to throw it downfield, right? I don't really care if you get it intercepted, but you got to throw it downfield. It doesn't matter if they're open or not. Throw it. Someone's got to make a play. And they were kind of dinking and dunking and eventually threw an interception, and Texas State won the football game. And again, congratulations to G.J. Kinne. They have sort of now set the standard. Bowl games and winning bowl games are now the standard at Texas State. Were they a little bit disappointing this year? A little, right? They were picked to win it. They were really good last year. They had a lot of guys coming back. They added the Sun Belt Player of the Year. They were expected to take that next step. I don't think we thought the Cajuns were going to be as good as they were. Arkansas State, South Alabama had that roller coaster ride. Arkansas State, I'm not sure Arkansas State maxed out, but pretty much they're about as good as maybe we thought they were going to be, right? The Cajuns were a little bit better than we thought they were going to be, but Texas State was probably not as good as we thought they were going to be. Nonetheless, they just won 8 ball games for the second straight season. They just won a bowl game for the second straight season. 2 things they have never done. They've never been to a bowl game, and they never won a bowl game. And so that's a nice standard that G.J. Kinne has set. Now, does Brad Jackson, does he develop a quarterback that he has for 2 years, 2 consecutive years? He is, I believe, the highest paid coach in the Sun Belt. Has not won anything but a bowl game, hasn't won a division, hasn't won a Sun Belt championship. Is it there for the taking? Again, I happen to think that Arkansas State, based on the quarterbacking, and you guys know I like same coach, same quarterback, and now Jalen Rayner and Butch Jones are heading into their 3rd year together, and Corey Rooker is coming back for Arkansas State. You have Gio Lopez and Major Applewhite coming back, and although they've changed positions, they've been together for 3 years in the same room, if you will. Major Applewhite was the offensive coordinator, and Gio Lopez is entering his 3rd year with the Jags. We'll see, and I'm going to get his name wrong all the time. Someone on the YouTube comments corrected me. It is Walker Howard, right? This is his 1st year, but he was a big-time recruit. We'll see what that does. Again, that may be a Joe Burrow thing in 2 seasons. We'll see how that goes. And then you have, Troy got better as the year went on. And, what does ULM do? Do they take the next step? So I'm looking forward to seeing Texas State. I presume I would put South Alabama and Arkansas State in one grouping, and then probably the Cajuns and Texas State in another grouping, and then almost everybody else. Southern Miss may be in the Cajuns grouping. Everyone's going to say they're not going to be very good because they won 1 game, but they're bringing all the guys down who won the Sun Belt Championship, or at least a lot of them. So congratulations to Texas State, G.J. Kinne, and crew. And again, another shout out to Jordan McCloud. He didn't really owe Texas State anything, and yet he went out and played. And there's a lot of people who do not bother doing that, and I think that was very cool of him to do. Okay. We'll come back. We'll talk basketball. South Alabama was really good. I'm not sure I missed the opportunity to make some money on them, but they are a very good college basketball team. We'll talk about that next, right after I tell you about Rocket Money. Does Rocket Money help find you any subscriptions you forgot about or that you were paying for twice? That definitely happened to me. I had a few subscriptions that I didn't even realize I was still paying for. And Rocket Money made it so easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, or even the goals you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all the app's premium features. For me, one of the best features is a subscription tracker, which I've used to cancel services I wasn't using anymore, and I've already saved a ton. Plus, with their goals feature, been able to automatically set aside money for my future. No more stressing about budgeting every month. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockdown today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockdown. rocketmoney.com/lockdown. All right, Dave Schultz, Lockdown Sunbelt, your teams every day. All right, so again, we're going back to Saturday. So I know it's been a little bit, but there were some, just a quick rundown. Some of these games Marshall was close with Troy. Troy survived. I'm all about a win and move on. But I'll tell you, that James Madison game kind of shocked me. And then winning on the road is hard. So Georgia State beating the Cajuns is not surprising, but 94-70? 94-70? Goodness. And we'll get into all of these as we go along. But again, South Alabama, 76, Georgia Southern, 47. And I'm not sure it was that close. Jags were down a starter. Eli Ormiston started instead. And really balanced scoring. Nobody scored more than 11 points for the Jaguars. Nobody played more than 28 minutes for the Jaguars, and that was Judah Brown coming off the bench. It was 38-18 at half. This game was 12-0 Jags. It was 23-3. At halftime again, it was 38-18. Georgia Southern got to 22. Let's see when they got to 22. It was 44-22 with let's see here, 16:35, and then it took them another 3 minutes to get to 25, 52-25. It just was a rout from the get-go. Georgia Southern was bumfuzzled with the South Alabama defense. And South Alabama, who I've been talking about with their lack of turnovers, actually turned the ball over a bunch in this ballgame. They came into the game. I didn't realize this. JT Crabtree, shout out. They lead the nation in turnovers per ball game, least amount. It was 8.6 per game. I can look it up what it is now. I knew it was good. I didn't realize it was that good. I think they had 13 in this game. Let's see. They had 13 turnovers in this game. They still had 13. They still had 13 steals. They had, get this, 17 assists on 25 field goals. So when you see that, that's amazing. Although Georgia Southern also very good ratio, 13 assists on 16 field goals. Quickly, let's just see what the Cajuns do, because the Cajuns don't do very well at all with that. At least they hadn't. Let me see. Cajuns had 11 assists on 25 field goals. See, not very well at all, because it's a lot of one-on-one. So South Alabama's really good. They don't have any size. They play a frenetic brand of defense. They have a bunch of fast break points. Let's see if it shows that here. in this case, they only had 12. They do get a lot of points in the paint because they get mismatches. They're just good. They led this game at 1 point by 34. They're really good. We'll see what happens. They will play teams that are bigger than they are this year. I think Troy has size. Arkansas State has size. I'm sure some other teams have size. We will see if that comes back to bite them. But this 1-2-2 zone is ridiculous. And if they're hitting threes, they are really tough to beat. Let's see what they did for threes in this ball game. 10 out of 24. That's 42%. They're tough to beat. I mean, Georgia Southern just had this game was over. It was 23-3, 26-5. It was 38-18. I mean, the only way that game is not over is if you make it 40-30. And then, you may be done. Maybe they go on a run after that. I don't know. So South Alabama rolls. I saw two conflicting things. I thought Craig Stevenson said first time since 2014 they swept the Georgias. JT Crabtree said it's the first time they've swept the Georgias. So they beat both Georgia State and Georgia Southern. First time ever, or the first time in a long time. So they're really good. They're getting Arkansas State tomorrow and then Troy on Saturday. So we will find out how good this team is. Again, we'll see if Kobe Julian is playing. He has not played in the last few ball games for the Red Wolves. All right, so we will get to the Red Wolves in the last segment. Other ball games. Well, let's go to that Georgia State ball game because that was one of the more surprising ball games to me. Not the win, although part of it is because the Cajuns were playing sort of good basketball. They were down all game to Coastal, and they came back to win it on a late run. I don't know, they just ran out of gas, but they got blown out. They got the doors blown off of them by Georgia State, and Georgia State got blown out by South Alabama, and again, 77-51 by South Alabama, and that game wasn't as close as that score would indicate. And the South Alabama, Georgia State is blowing UL out 51-32 at halftime. This game wasn't very close at all. Georgia State shooting 52% from the floor. Let's see here. This is one of Georgia State's better ball games of the year. And I mean, again, they scored 94 points. What did I say? South Alabama in a blowout game didn't have anybody score over 11. Listen to what Georgia State had. Leading scorer off of the bench, Nick McMullen, 22 points. Tanari Lane, 21 points. And Cesare Edwards had 20. So they had three players with over 20 points or more. And Jelani Hamilton had 15. So they had four guys in double figures and three with over 20 points. For good measure, Malachi Brown had 9. Cajuns had four guys in double figures. I can't say his name. Mustafa, that's his first name, had 17. Christian Wright had 11. Kentrell Garnett had 13. And Davis had 10. But again, this was a blowout from the get-go. Georgia State improves to 1-2. Cajuns drop to 2-1. That's not the game that I thought the Cajuns would drop. It was on the road. Again, winning on the road is hard, and I always stress that. I just didn't think it would be 94-70. I'll be the first to admit, did not see that coming. All right, let's go to the Marshall ball game. Marshall hosting Troy, and I did see this in a comment. I'm not going to pick it out who. I don't know if I saw it on Twitter or it was on YouTube. It was very interesting, saying the coach was in a tough spot and it was easier to turn over a football team than a basketball team. Really? Is that really? Because I think the basketball coach here in Louisville brought in 12 new players out of like 13 scholarship players. Like the whole team turned over. Easier to turn over a football team than a basketball team in 1 year. Is that right? That seems a little bit strange to me. Anyways, you guys know I'm a win and move on. Marshall actually had a 31-19 lead at halftime, and Troy comes back with a 58-57 victory. Connerway, who's again been in the conference forever, 20 points, leading the Trojans. Miles Rigsby with a 13 overall. Anaki Keelan, also been in the conference for a minute or two. He leads the Thundering Herd with 17. He was the only Marshall player in double figures. Conway was the only Marshall player to play more than 26 minutes. He played 36. Otherwise, everyone's playing like 25 or 26 minutes. For Marshall, they may have tired a little bit. They had 4 guys play 30 or more minutes for their starters. Nate Martin played 34. Anikli Keelan played 34. Mingo played 30. And Jalen Spear played 38. I mean, those guys had to be exhausted. I get playing, but they seem to run out of gas at the end of the ball game. And maybe they missed free throws. Free throws, they each shot 17. Troy made 13 out of 17, and Marshall made 10 out of 17. I'm not one of those guys who thinks you make all your free throws, but Marshall makes 2 more. Maybe they win the game. I'm not saying that Marshall's got to make 17 out of 17, but out of the 7 that they missed, they make 3 or 4 more, and they win that basketball game. All right, let's take a timeout. We went a little bit long in that segment. We'll come back. Arkansas State goes down. JMU with the upset. We will do that next, right after I thank everybody. All right, want to thank you guys. Again, been absent for a couple of days. I do apologize. Again, had to get the computer fixed. Takes 3 to 5 days. Plus the snowstorm that closed everything down, including my work. Highways were shut down. So I appreciate your patience. Did not bail, but I figured I'd just wait a couple of days. Picked up the computer Tuesday after work once everything was back open. And I hope you guys are okay with that. We will look forward to previewing the Thursday night ball games tomorrow. And then we'll recap them, and we'll see if we can do a couple extra episodes. We have some coaching news, and I don't know if we've got some more. I think we got some just coaching news. Former Patriot wide receiver Aaron Dobson to Southern Miss. Did I see that? I had to check that. That's Aaron Dobson? How about that? So, Patriots fan. That's why I had to check it. So I appreciate it, and we'll keep on rocking and rolling. Looking forward to it. We have, what do we got? 5 weeks, 6 weeks before baseball starts. So really looking forward to that. And then it's not too far away from spring practice. So it's the show that never ends. It's the show that never ends. So thanks so much for continuing to support. Please not only subscribe to the podcast on YouTube, but don't forget about Apple Podcasts or Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. All right. Really do appreciate it. All right, Dave Schultz, Lockdown Sunbelt, your teams every day. I think in this one, Arkansas State blew it. And again, winning on the road is hard. And I think they started right with 4 on the road. And Arkansas State let this one get away. Not a huge lead, but just did not play well in the second half. It may have been a little bit of a lead, 39-33 at half. But I thought I read it got up to 13 in the second half. Let me see. Maybe not. I see 8. I see 43-35. First half leads don't matter. But I see an 8-point lead in the second half. And actually at about the that's about as much as they got it. Foul on Taron Todd at the 16:54 mark. So about 3 minutes in, that's kind of when JMU started to take control. Got it down to a 6-point lead, then a 3-point lead. Then it was one. Oh, they went on a big run here. So let's see here. It was 45-39. Then it's 46 all. And it's 49-46. 53-50. They still haven't taken a lead. They tied it at 55. And then they took the lead 57-55. And I don't think they gave it back. Yeah. Yeah. They did they tie it again? They did not. Let's see if they had a shot at it. 60 no, 64-62. No, by that time it was too late. No. They got within 64-62, and that was it. So, no. I mean, James Madison controlled the second half, basically. Well, we'll see. We'll see when Kobe Julian comes back. So, again, it's really hard to win on the road, and that's a great example of it. That's a great example of it. I have a feeling if that game was in Jonesboro, Arkansas State manages to win that ball game. No. Oh, maybe that turns the season around for James Madison. They are 9-6 overall, 2-1 in the conference. Arkansas State falls to 2-1. Craig Stevenson says it takes a little bit of the bloom off the rose for the South Alabama Arkansas State ball game. I don't think so. That's a huge ball game for South Alabama. Arkansas State is still one of the better teams, if not the best team in the Sun Belt. And looking ahead, you got to win this ball game here for seeding. So you got to take advantage. South Alabama has to take advantage of playing this game at home coming up on Thursday night. So we will see that moving forward. All right, let's see what else we have. That was a big upset and a great job by James Madison to use that home court advantage. All right, App State got a win at home. They take down Texas State. All of a sudden, Texas State is reeling a little bit, 72-61 in this ball game. Let's see here. App State, Miles Tate led the way with 22 points. Alonzo Dodd, 14. CJ Huntley had 12. For Texas State, Tyrell Morgan led the way with 16 points. Dylan Dawson had 14 coming off the bench. Has Texas State now lost? Have they lost like 3 in a row? They've lost 3 in a row and 4 out of 5. So Texas State is reeling a little bit. They did win their first Sun Belt game against Georgia Southern, but then lost to UT Arlington, former Sun Belt foe, and now have lost to Marshall and App State. They still have to go to Troy and to Southern Miss before they get Georgia State and Southern Miss again. And then they have to hit the Cajuns and Arkansas State. So it is not going to get Louisiana could be easy, but Arkansas State will not. And then they play those two teams again at home, Louisiana and Arkansas State, back-to-back weekends. So Texas State is struggling a little bit. And App State gets their first win in the conference this year. They snap a 4-game losing streak by getting their first win in the Sun Belt, and they even up their record at 7-7. All right. Elsewhere, Coastal gets a nice win. They improved to 8-7 overall, 1-2 in the Sun Belt, 70-51 over Monroe. Monroe falls to 4-12 overall, 0-3 in the Sun Belt. Quick look at the box score. For Coastal, Noah Amenhauser had 13 points, and Rasheed Jones had 12. For Monroe, a couple of guys had 14 points. Colty Young had 14, along with Jerry. I don't know. I'm sorry. NGOPOT. I'm not going to say that wrong because I'm going to say it wrong. Get myself in trouble. I do apologize. And And so Coastal gets a nice win. Monroe is struggling out of the gates this year. So we'll see if Coastal Carolina, remember, Coastal could have been, they really could be 2-1. They let that Cajuns game slip away. They did. And Old Dominion all of a sudden is now 2-1 in the Sun Belt. They beat Southern Miss. Old Dominion improves to 6-9, 2-1 in the Sun Belt. They beat Southern Miss 74-71. Southern Miss also 6-9. They fall to 1-2 in the Sun Belt. Let's see here. 4 of the 5 starters for Old Dominion were in the double figures. Robert Davis Jr. leading the way with 18. And Southern Miss had 4 of their 5 starters leading the way. 4 of their 5 starters had double figures as well. Oddly enough, Brewer Caruth didn't score at all. Played 28 minutes, 3 shots, missed all 3 3-pointers, 2 rebounds, 1 steal, 5 personal fouls. Ouch. Let me see what Old Dominion. I feel like they have won a few. They won 3 out of the last 4 after losing 5 out of 6. Mike Jones has this crew winning a few. Now they're going on the road this week, and they're taking on the Cajuns in South Alabama. So we'll see what happens if they can get a win in Lafayette on Thursday, and then they're going to have their hands full with South Alabama. Oh, why did I think that was Troy? Well, why did I think? Why did I think Troy was playing? My mistake. I thought they were playing Troy. So my mistake. They're playing ODU on Saturday. I thought Troy's not coming in for another week. A week. That makes this one even bigger because South Alabama should beat Old Dominion flat out. All right. So this is huge because South Alabama very much so should start out. They beat Arkansas State. They'll be 5-0 in the conference. All right. And then Southern Miss is coming to town. That should be 6-0. Troy would be 7 if they beat Troy. All right. So quickly doing the standings. I don't know why I thought Troy was coming to town. That's my fault. South Alabama is 3-0. Troy is 3-0. Arkansas State, JMU, Old Dominion, and the Cajuns 2-1. Texas State, Coastal Carolina, Georgia Southern, Marshall, App State, Southern Miss, and Georgia State 1-2. Monroe, the only team that does not have a win in the Sun Belt. They are 0-3. We will look ahead tomorrow night to the Thursday night action. We'll preview the Thursday night action for Thursday's episode. So I think I'm caught up, right? This is Tuesday night, and we're recapping last week's episode. I'm all confused. Today's Wednesday, right? I'm recording it on Tuesday for Wednesday. All right. Again, when you don't, well, this time I had the weekend off, oddly enough. But when you don't have the weekends off anymore and you have odd days off, you forget what day it is. I don't keep track what day it is anymore because I don't have Saturdays and Sundays off. Usually this time I did have Sunday off, which was kind of nice. Then I had Monday off, and I'm again forgetting what day it is. All right. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. I know it's a couple of days late, but again, computer on the fritz and snowstorm. So can't do anything about either one of those things. Appreciate staying with me. Please subscribe on YouTube, and don't forget about Apple Podcast and Spotify. All right, those help out as well. Have a great Wednesday, everybody, and we'll talk to you again on Thursday. You've been watching and listening to a Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day.